newspapers under the bed and lit them. As he left, he turned the lights on to make the growing fire less noticeable from a distance. McCrae sold both the gun he stole and the murder weapon to a friend. The agents asked who put him up to the killing. At first, he was afraid to say.
Did these two guys tell you why they wanted you to kill William Gray?
But eventually, he cracked. McCrae said it was two men, Bill Prince and Larry Marshall, business partners of Graham. Prince and Marshall hired him through an intermediary. They offered him $20,000 for the hit. The agents knew of Bill Prince and Larry Marshall, prominent local businessmen, both millionaires. They also knew that if they went up against the pair before a local jury, they would need more than McCrae's word to prove a murder conspiracy.
He gave me the contract.
And they worried Prince and Marshall might get to McCrae and make him change his story. On April 18th, 1988, 10 months after William Graham's death, agents secured a warrant to exhume the tobacco farmer's body. Law enforcement needed to look for evidence that somehow escaped them the first time, that Graham had been shot to death. X-rays taken during the second autopsy revealed two .32 caliber slugs in Graham's skull and a small entrance wound behind his left ear. A pathologist removed the projectiles so they could be compared to the murder weapon. Sled agents recovered the gun McCrae sold to his friend. Ballistics examiners noted similarities between the grooves etched into the slugs and those in the pistol's barrel. They determined that gun could have fired the bullets that killed Graham. More evidence implicating Charles McCrae. But investigators also needed evidence on the men who allegedly hired him. Graham's former business partners, Larry Marshall and Bill Prince. Prince's involvement with the victim went well beyond business. Graham had been his father figure.
Bill Prince had been raised by William Graham from the time he was a teenager. They became business partners, and as a result of being business partners, they took out a $500,000 insurance policy out on each other.
Prosecutor Salibi worked with the sled agents developing the insurance motive.
We found out that Mr. Prince had contacted the insurance company many times immediately after Mr. Graham's death, wanting to know how quickly he could collect the proceeds. In fact, he even volunteered to fly up to where the company was located and collect a check.
Authorities made no effort to hide their investigation of Bill Prince and Larry Marshall and discovered that the men had lost $400,000 to Graham in a recent lawsuit. And 2 weeks before he died, Graham had filed a second suit against them. A compelling financial motive, yet it was only circumstantial evidence against two millionaires not easily intimidated by the law. Then investigators' early fears were realized. The one witness they did have backed down.
Mr. McCrae soon recanted his story and refused to cooperate, so there was nothing to support what he was saying about others being involved.
Perhaps someone had gotten to McCrae and convinced him not to cooperate. In any case, investigators needed a new break in order to pursue Prince and Marshall. In December 1988, that break would emerge in a South Carolina cemetery. In 1988, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division agents investigated an arson and alleged murder for hire in the death of William Graham. 8 months later, a lawyer asked SLED agents to meet him in a local cemetery.
What FBI?
Yes.
He said he represented a man named Fred Peachy Andrews, who had information on the case.
Is that he knows who killed Mr. Graham.
Wait, what's the situation?
He's very nervous. The first thing he wants is protection.
SLED agent James Gamble.
The lawyer explained to us that Mr. Andrews was fearful of his life because he knew a good bit about the murder of Mr. William Graham.
The attorney said Andrews wanted to talk to authorities discreetly, so they set up a meeting. In a parking lot the next day, Fred Andrews spoke with SLED agents James Gamble and Gary Martin. He said he used to run an illegal gambling operation out of his office, and through that operation, Bill Prince and Larry Marshall came to him about a contract killing.
They had approached Peaches to either kill or find someone to kill William Graham because they thought Peaches had all these underworld contacts because he was running these poker houses and he'd going back and forth to Las Vegas, things of that nature.
And they got some other guy.
He said Prince offered $20,000 for the hit, but later told him that Charles McRae had been hired instead. When McRae started talking to the cops, Larry Marshall and Bill Prince began calling Andrews, threatening him to keep quiet. Andrews agreed to help get more evidence against Prince and Marshall and set up a tape recorder on his home phone. If the men called again, he would be ready.